lay the massive body of a sperm whale. Its skin glistened with salt and sand, marred in places by scrapes and bruises, while its enormous flippers twitched in weak spasms. Each exhale shook the immense body, a tremor of life fighting against the certainty of death. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to Echoes of the Voiceless and join us in giving a voice to those who cannot speak. Every story you watch here is a testament to courage, compassion, and the lives we can change when we choose to care. From a distance, a cluster of tourists and local beachgoers had gathered, phones in hand, filming, snapping, and whispering. "It's huge, but it'll be fine," a man said uneasily, shifting on his feet. A woman beside him shook her head, voice soft, but tinged with indifference. "Nature takes its course. There's nothing we can do." Their words hung in the air, almost swallowed by the faint crash of the waves, but the whale's wide, fearful eyes scanned them desperately, seeking help that never came. Children pressed against the safety of their parents, binoculars in hand, whispering questions about the creature's plight. "Why isn't anyone helping it?" one asked, voice trembling. Their parents ignored them, avoiding eye contact as if recognition could make the truth too heavy to bear. Hours passed, the sun rose higher, baking the sand, heat waves shimmering like mirages. The whale groaned again, weaker now, every movement a struggle. A distant motorboat's rumble broke the silence, yet it moved along the horizon without slowing. People continued filming, capturing the spectacle but doing nothing. They were spectators, not rescuers. Then a figure appeared, walking along the jagged rocks toward the stranded Leviathan. Each step was purposeful, boots sinking into sand and debris. Her dark hair was tied back tightly, a practical ponytail swinging with each step. Emily Carter, known in marine rescue circles by her call sign Bluefin, paused for a moment, surveying the scene. Her sharp eyes took in the whale, the sprawling crowd, and the faint scent of fear that clung to the air. Emily crouched behind a driftwood log, assessing every detail. The whale's skin had begun to blister from exposure, small abrasions dotted with sand and salt. Maggots had begun to gather near minor cuts, and the breath came in shallow, strained spurts. "Not much time," she whispered under her breath, her hand brushing her radio. She transmitted coordinates to the nearby marine rescue station, but before any team could arrive, she knew she had to take control of the situation herself. A man wearing a wide-brimmed hat laughed nervously, pointing at the whale. "It's probably just resting. It'll be fine." Others nodded. A teenage girl tugged at her mother's sleeve. "Shouldn't we call someone?" The mother's hand pressed lightly on her shoulder, silencing her, dismissing the emergency as if it were entertainment. Anger surged through Emily. Those who could act instead chose to record, leaving this magnificent creature to suffer alone. Emily stepped forward slowly, hands visible, palms open, her voice calm yet commanding. "Easy. It's okay. I see you." The whale's head lifted slightly, uncertain. A stick snapped under a tourist's foot behind her, and the animal flinched. Letting out a trembling groan, Emily froze, letting the noise pass. Patience. Always patience. The distant roar of engines grew louder. Marine rescue vessels had arrived. Emily raised a hand, signaling the crowd to step back. "Everyone, give us space. We're here to help." A rescue officer stepped onto the sand, followed by a veterinarian carrying a first aid kit and water tanks. The officer nodded toward Emily. "Call received. Is the situation under control?" Emily's gaze never left the whale. Its massive tail twitched weakly, eyes wide with confusion and fear. "Not yet, but if we act carefully, we can save her. She trusts me, for now." The veterinarian assessed the abrasions from a safe distance. Exposure is severe. Any wrong move, and she could collapse completely. Emily nodded, her jaw tight. I'll guide her. Follow my lead. Her call sign, Bluefin, now known, whispered among the rescuers and crowd alike. Eyes widened. She wasn't just a volunteer, she was the woman trained to pull whales from death when everyone else walked away. The whale shifted slightly, a low groan escaping her massive throat. Emily circled gently, maintaining a respectful distance. Her voice was soft but firm. Slowly, step by step. Breathe. You're safe. I'm here. The crowd fell silent, mesmerized by her calm precision. Everyone, stay back, she called, noticing some spectators inching too close. One misstep, and the whale might panic. The veterinarian instructed an assistant to prepare a sling and harness for the massive animal. Emily's eyes met theirs, a silent coordination passing between seasoned professionals. The next moments would demand absolute focus. Emily leaned closer, resting a hand lightly on the whale's side. I'm here. You can do this. Trust me. A hush fell over the sand. Even the wind seemed to pause, carrying only the faint clatter of the harness and the whale's labored breaths. A subtle shift, a groan, and then the first miracle. The whale lifted her head slightly, wobbling but stable. Emily signaled the team to proceed slowly, inch by inch, ropes and harness guiding the massive body. They prepared to move her toward the water. Dust and sand rose as each careful movement progressed. Almost there. You're doing it, Emily murmured. The crowd whispered in awe, some with tears glistening, realizing the danger, the patience, and the skill it took to save a life this immense. Minutes stretched. The whale's massive body trembled once, but Emily's hands steadied her. A collective intake of breath came from the crowd as she finally shifted fully toward the water's edge. Relief washed over the scene, but the true challenge was only beginning. The veterinarian signaled readiness for the next stage. Emily guided the whale, her voice steady, offering reassurance. Step carefully. We're almost home. The crowd began to murmur apologies to the whale, some silent tears escaping, others simply watching in awe. Emily stood tall, dust and sweat streaking her uniform, gaze resolute. Some choose to care, she whispered, almost to herself. The sun began to dip behind distant cliffs, shadows stretching over the sand. Emily looked out at the water, the horizon, the next rescue that might call her name. Every life mattered. Even when the world looked away, the tide had turned, both literally and metaphorically. Emily Carter, call sign Bluefin, kneeled beside the massive sperm whale, her hands brushing over its damp, sand-smeared skin. Its breaths were shallow, tremors running through its enormous flanks. But there was life. A fragile, desperate thread of life, and she clung to it like a lifeline. Almost there. Just a little longer, she whispered, voice low but unwavering. The rescue team moved with precision, securing the heavy harness around the whale's girth. Every rope placement, every gentle tug, had to be exact. One misstep could snap the delicate balance between survival and tragedy. A clatter came from the crowd. Someone dropped a camera. The whale shuddered, ears flicking, muscles tightening. Emily leaned closer, her voice steady, almost melodic. It's okay. Just me. Breathe with me. You're safe. The veterinarian signaled to the team, and together they began the delicate lift. Inch by inch, the whale's massive body began to rise from the sand. Trembling, wobbling, she allowed herself to trust the hands guiding her. Emily's hands stayed firm against her side, feeling each micro-movement, whispering encouragement with every heartbeat. Steady. Yes. That's it, Emily murmured, synchronizing her breath with the whale's shallow, ragged exhalations. The harness creaked under her weight, but the team was coordinated, trained, and unwavering. For a moment, it seemed impossible. The sheer scale of the animal, the heat, the encroaching crowd, all threatened to overwhelm the operation. The wind picked up, sand swirling, dust settling over tense faces. A child's muffled cry broke through, and Emily's eyes met the crowd. "Back! Give space!" she called, her tone firm but calm. The words carried authority, and even the skeptics stepped away, some with tears in their eyes. The final lift began. Slowly, deliberately, the whale's enormous body began to tilt toward the surf. Emily guided each movement, whispering, "Almost there. Trust me. You're going home." The salt water gleamed ahead, inviting, promising. With every inch, the whale's flanks steadied. Her flippers twitched, as if testing the water, muscles flexing, finding strength in Emily's presence. A gasp ran through the spectators as the whale's tail finally slid into the shallows, water lapping against bruised skin. The weight shifted, and the team supported her carefully, letting the tide carry her further. Emily waded in beside her, steadying the enormous creature, speaking softly. "You made it. It's okay now." The whale exhaled deeply, a low, tremulous sound that seemed to echo across the bay. The crowd, many with tears streaming, whispered apologies, respect, awe. Some whispered, I underestimated her. Others simply bowed their heads in silence, witness to the power of courage and compassion. Emily finally stepped back, sweat streaking her face, uniform wet and sandy, but her eyes calm, resolute. The veterinarian checked vitals, nodding toward Emily. Without her guidance, this whale wouldn't have survived. She saved more than a life. She restored hope. The sun had begun its descent, painting the sky in deep orange and violet streaks. The whale floated steadily now, alive, free from the sand that had nearly claimed her. Children waved, adults nodded, and the crowd slowly dispersed, carrying a quiet reverence for what they had witnessed. Emily Carter stood at the edge of the surf, gaze on the horizon, voice soft but carrying over the waves. Every life matters, even when the world looks away. The moral lingered as clearly as the tide rolling in. Compassion requires courage, patience, and decisive action. One person's bravery, one woman willing to act, had rewritten a fate that others had left to despair. She had reminded everyone that heroes do not wait. They act. And sometimes that action alone changes everything. The wind carried the faint echo of the whale's breathing, a sound of resilience and survival. Bluefin's legend grew quietly that day, a testament to the truth that courage, when paired with compassion, can save not only lives, but awaken the humanity in everyone who witnesses it.